We're glad to have with us the multi-instrumentalist of Cognac, Big Family, and Supersonics, Mr. Rohan Ganguli.
Hi.
And he has just released his debut album, The King of Summer, and he has been very gracious enough to have given us the opportunity of interviewing him. So let us move on to the first question, which is, how did you start with your career?
You mean as a
Yeah.
musician? Actually, I transitioned into it. I don't think I consciously decided to be a musician from the beginning. I started playing guitar like when I was very young, but I didn't really play guitar as such. I just fooled around with it because it was lying around in the house. And in school, I'd play a few chords and all, but after school, I started getting serious about it. Until then, it was only lawn tennis. That was all I ever cared
Okay.
about, or swimming. And then in class 12-ish, I was like, just got a little serious. And then in college, I went to Jadavpur University, so you get a lot of time to do whatever you want, and they encourage you to do
Yeah.
a lot of things. So I took up guitar over there, and then I saw my friends. One of my friends, he used to go to Amida. So I saw a copy he brought with all these notes and all. I was like fascinated because it looks like rocket science to me. So I was like, what is this? I want to know what this is. So he took me to Amida's class, and then, even then I was not professional. For about a year, 2 years, I just went there, kept learning. And slowly I started playing gigs, but I was not professional even then, And then sooner or later it had to happen where I stopped doing everything else. And then I realized that this is what my calling is. And
So from an athlete to a musician.
Yeah.
Okay. So who or what would you say has had an everlasting influence on you as an individual or on your art?
Well, Amida for sure. Like he's been my teacher. He's my mentor. And he's also like an elder brother. He's like his family. And outside of that, I would say some of my friends from my previous band, like Cognac, they've been my process guides and friends. We're still very good friends. Them plus my folks for not throwing me out of the house, for making such a lot of noise with the guitar.
The dream of every musician.
Yeah, it was quite unbelievable to have no complaints. I mean, of course, the regular complaints are there, but no obstacles as such. They always encourage me.
So let's talk about your new album, The King of Summer. So on the first hearing, one would describe it as experimental tunes found in a sort of jazz and blues environment. What is the story of King of Summer? Who is this King of Summer?
No one. King of Summer is more an energy or a vibe than a person. Actually, what happened is I was on a boat in the Hooghly.
Yeah.
And the boat, it goes very slowly. It's got its own pace. And on either side, you can see like the skyline of Howrah and Kolkata on either side. And there are these beautiful old buildings, old like from the British times, I'm guessing. And they're all falling apart. But you can tell in the heyday how beautiful it must have been. I mean, some of them are still gorgeous.
Yeah.
And not very well kept. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. But you can tell that it was, a very regal city at one point. And being on that water, you feel like, like the king's arrival, it's like on either side there's this grand cityscape, and it's got this slow pace, like, when a king comes, the fanfare is very slow. It's got its own pace and it's got that energy. I think the city has that. So that's why it's called King of Summer. I mean, not that I am the King of Summer or anything like that, but yeah, this energy is there, and I really like that. And like, people say it's slow and Calcutta doesn't change, but that also holds a beauty, That beauty is what I wanted to.
And it definitely does get reflected in your music.
Thank you.
Especially in the very first song of King of Summer.
Yeah.
So, since you stated on your Instagram as well that you're going to be releasing a second album soon, so is it going to be similar to King of Summer, or is it a completely different royal we are talking about?
Totally different.
Okay.
Nothing. It'll be more pop.
Okay.
It'll be straight out pop, rock. The kind of music I've grown up listening. I mean, like not Steely Dan, pop, straight up pop.
Straight pop.
Like, yeah. See, since childhood, I've been very lucky in the sense like there was music all the time. All the time. I mean, people would come to the house who were musicians or part-time musicians, and there was that culture, and a lot of Anglo-Indian people who are naturally great musicians. So they would bring instruments or keyboards or piano, whatever. They'd come to the house. My uncle's a great harmonica player. So every weekend they would sing and drink and eat and all. So from a very early age, I've been exposed to all kinds of music. Like starting from the Beatles all the way to Shirley Bassey to Louis Armstrong, Miles Davis, Beethoven, everything, Deep Purple. So I've grown up on all kinds of music. So I don't like to pigeonhole what I want to play because I know it's coming from different places.
So all this is accumulated onto your album.
Yeah, it's all come together in a very strange way. So that's why when people say it's jazz, I'm like, no, I don't know. Maybe it is to you, but it's not necessarily to me. Some people will say it's rock. I'm like, yeah, maybe it is rock. I don't know. I don't want to do that. Like, also it's great because so many different people see different things in it.
Exactly.
So I like that.
But in the end, it's just like you as an individual.
And the band members, they have a very pivotal role.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your past ventures with Cognac and Big Family.
Sure.
How long was the run, and like what kind of genres did you venture into?
So Cognac was my first real band, and I got spoiled then and there, straight off, because like I got the best musicians to play with. Like my first band, on drums I had Vishal Nair, who's like phenomenal. He went to Berkeley later on to study, and he's probably one of the best drummers I've ever played with, and one of the best I've heard, just per se, not with me or with the band, but like by himself. Then Taj was on guitars. Rajiv as a singer is like phenomenal, So like, and Ravi was there on bass. So I got spoiled right from the beginning, like the highest level of musicianship at that age. When we're 19, 20, don't have a clue about music, and then you get this standard of. So I knew like this is the way it's going to be, and they're still very close friends. We speak almost every day actually, all the time. In fact, I have to switch off my phone for this interview because they're the ones who are messaging right now. So those guys, they've opened that door like that, and then plus we had Amit Da guiding us that time, and Jayashri and Gyan, so they would guide us a lot. They've produced the first song for Cognac, and so you have that kind of environment. You're already spoiled for like.
But it really helps you to grow as a musician, watching like very amazing.
And the best.
Yes.
Not just musicians, the best.
Absolutely. Like you get to see them jam with each other, and you're also jamming, so you get to pick up a lot of things.
Sure, you just watch and learn. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go for Amit's class. He would start around 10. I would be there at 9 o'clock and stand outside his door. And Amit would be like, why standing there? And I'm like, it's like, come inside. So I'd go there shamelessly and leave the last also. He stops at 3, but we'll be there. Like 3-4 of us will be just sitting quiet. You don't want to go. And he'll have to tell us why don't you get lost. And then we'll go. So we also were like sponges for that information because we didn't have internet that time, We didn't have smartphones, we didn't have anything. So the only thing was, going to a good teacher, and Amit does the best. And below that there was Kochuda, and he's also phenomenal. So you're getting melody and rhythm, that's what music is.
Exactly.
So that happened. And then there was Supersonics after that, where we wrote our own material. And even there, 4 of us, we decided to only write our own music, good or bad, doesn't matter.
Okay.
But we'll stick with it. And also in that band, the driving force was to always keep getting better. Not just in music, but like how to produce music, how to present yourself live, and how to keep getting better at whatever you do holistically. So even that kind of raised the bar very high for me. So that's my background basically.
So with the pandemic and all, not in its current state because like now everyone's going out. But when it first started, how did it affect you in terms of your performance and your mental health?
Right. So what I noticed in a few months after the pandemic was that there are people who are handling it well and there are people who are not handling it well. And it's not like someone's better than the other, that's why it's not because of that. It's just that during normalcy, people had so many excuses to hide behind, or postpone or defer things which they don't want to deal with. Now there's nothing left. There's either do it or you don't do it. So there's no excuse to hide behind.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the truth kind of surfaces. You hide it, but it's difficult to, when you have nothing to hide against.
Exactly.
A lot of that truth surface, and a lot of people handle it well. A lot of people didn't handle it too well. And I've also seen people work on themselves or crib a lot, and so it's like two extremes. Personally, I've been lucky to have people around me who've encouraged me to look inwards and get better at whatever I can do. So I got busy with that. And thankfully, I didn't lose my mind in the process, because I know quite a few people who've actually lost their mind, and thankfully I didn't lose my mind, So, yeah, but I think it's been a great time. I think it's been probably the best year of my life, where a lot of stuff that was extra has been weeded out, and whatever I could have done better all this time, I've now used that time to sort of get better at it.
Yeah, because like you get a lot of free time.
Yeah, you only have free time.
Yeah, exactly.
And also the unsurety of everything. You like take so many things for granted, which you suddenly like, wow, and then
that just inspires you to sit down and get it done.
Yeah. And like with people also, like your bonds become clearer.
Yeah.
There's no nonsense. I mean, there's still nonsense, but like holistically, there's a clarity which has come. So I had a great time, man. I didn't regret the pandemic at all. So initially it was a bit weird because no one's done anything for me. But I remember once we went for a drive and there was no one on the road. We had gone to get some food from Quest Mall when you were allowed in small numbers, So we were driving and there was no cleanup happening, right? But there was nothing to clean.
Exactly.
It was clean, And the leaves had fallen from all the trees. So from Baliganj all the way to CCNFC, the roads were just leaves after leaves. And I was like, wow, this is like as beautiful as Europe, And the sky was also like a different blue because there was no pollution.
Exactly.
No
the factories
birds.
are running.
Yeah, it was just like, this is unbelievable.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I drew from, and I got back into gardening, which is, yeah, so I have a roof where there's a lot of plants. So I started taking care of them.
Gardening is basically like self-therapy.
I didn't realize it till I had to do it, because no one was doing it, so I did it. And when I did it, after a while, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Why didn't I do it earlier?
Exactly.
But now that I do it, I know it's like, wow.
So, what do you think about the current state of music, like and the industry as well? Like, for example, if the new musicians are coming up, what do they have to do to get in?
It's a difficult one to answer, but I'll try. For one, what I see is now it's become more democratic. Like in the sense, the monopoly which once the big guys held has now gone. It's become more democratic in the sense like everyone has got some kind of recording setup at home, so you don't depend on having studio time. Or,
there's no third man.
No, either you can do it or you don't do it. So that democracy is great because now the power has gone back to a lot of people, which I think is a great thing. But on the flip side, there's a specialization which happens with having done one thing for years, which a lot of people don't have. So now you are dealing with recording, documenting music or sound or movies or whatever with no expertise. So your quality is inferior. Even though you might have great ideas, but the presentation and the final product, you don't have the experience
Exactly.
So it's a little cusp. We're in the cusp of something. Let's see where it goes. I'm pretty open about it though, because like technology has come into our lives in a way unlike ever before. Everyone has a mic, everyone has a sound card. They have whatever you need to record. Now it's just a matter of time, I think, when people will get good at it. So I'm pretty happy about it.
Okay, so now, would you give us a few words of advice for the viewers and the readers at home who want to get into the music industry, who want to get into music and performing?
Well, having gotten into it accidentally, if you're lucky, you'll fall into it and not be able to get up from it. and you stick in. But for those who won't have that luck, you have to have a lot of confidence and belief in yourself, because no one else will believe in you till you don't believe yourself, and that takes a long time. So if you're not strong enough as a person, I would suggest you to take a step back and think if you're cut out for this, because you know there are a lot of privileges which you will lose out on. If you're at peace with it, I'm not saying you'll lose out forever. If you make it, then to nothing like it, you know. But for the chance that you don't, do you have the mental fortitude to hold it together?
Exactly.
You know? And not be like, you know, burnt out or something like that. So, but having said that, the only way to do it is to just do it actually, you know, and keep repeating it till you get good at it. And that repetition, people see it, you know, so you get called for what you're good at.
Exactly.
So yeah, I would say be positive about it and like keep doing it. Yeah.
So we have near the end of the interview, and thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you
It
guys.
means a lot to us.
Thank
Yes.
you guys.